Hello, hello. Oh, yes, it is me. Yes, the one who they call Dirk McGee. Dirk McGee is my doppelganger, in case you don't know. So if you see me online as Dirk McGee, that's my YouTube channel, Dirk McGee. Why Dirk McGee? I don't know. I go through phases of saying random, weird, autistic stuff, and that was one from years ago. I say Dirk all the time. I thought it was funny. And I just thought it was the most absolutely stupid name ever, Dirk McGee. Anyway, so that's me. So today, what are we talking about today? Sorry for the shaking. I'm on an extremely unsteady outdoor table out here. Given up on the headsets, aka forgot to bring them this time, and they didn't work last time, so there you go. Now I'm filming on my, pardon the shaking, I'm going to pin this table against the wall there. So the last video was cut a little bit short due to LinkedIn only wanting 15-minute videos. I think what I'm going to do now is just upload them to YouTube and just post the link on LinkedIn, and so that way I'll get more views on YouTube anyway. I mean, I'm just now starting this, so there you go. But if everybody else is going to put their nonsense on the internet, I might as well too. Although I will caution you against that. All these content creators and stuff. I'm doing a weighed risk here because we're going straight into conspiracy town. Anytime you post something to the internet, you're giving the AI a bunch of info on you. Never post your children on the internet, okay? Don't. And I've got this little camera blocker. Normally it's always closed. Call me crazy, but I mean, are you kidding me? I was literally talking to oh gosh, what was it? Oh yeah, allergy medication. Guy was sneezing. We were sitting on my porch. Guy was just absolutely having a fit, and I had DoorDash app open. And I'm sure you know what I'm leading to, right? We're talking about allergy meds. I'm ordering food. I've never ordered allergy meds off of DoorDash. And all of a sudden, in the little gray area where it's like suggesting what you might want to search for in the search box, it goes, search allergy meds. I'm like, oh, where'd you get that idea? So everybody knows at this point that, the AI is listening. The AI advances at a rate of they say every 12 hours, AI progresses by 10 to 12 years. Now, when you think about it, what does that really mean? Because who's to say what 10 to 12 years of advancement is? But it does seem like that. It does feel like that. You ask the AI something one day, and then the next day you ask it the same thing, and it gives you a different answer, and seemingly like a more advanced answer that kind of knows you a little bit better and all that stuff. So take that for what it is. But anyway, I wanted to kind of jump off of so yeah, in terms of the audio, as soon as I get around to it, I'll get a real mic and I'll be a real big boy podcast or whatever. But for now, you're going to have to deal with it. So I wanted to jump off of yesterday's video. I'm going to probably do one a day for kicks and giggles, and see if I ever get discovered on YouTube. Woohoo! Maybe make some money. Hallelujah. So, we left the last video with talking about the debts and what's up with the tariffs and Trump and whether or not he's good, bad, and all these, people who just think he's the devil, and then you got his sycophantic supporters. The real truth is always somewhere either between what everyone's saying or on a different planet entirely. Anybody who's just going along with it, acting like, oh, these are the best 3D, 5D chess moves ever by Trump, and oh, don't worry, oh my gosh, it's all perfectly planned out, and yes, he knows exactly what he's doing. I highly doubt that, and likewise, anybody who just is against everything he does, nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. So really, at this point, in my opinion, the people who know the most are those who are detached from it and looking at it from sort of a coronal perspective. In order to see the sun's corona, you have to block out the sun in order to see the corona, or meaning the area around the sun. You have to put a block on the sun itself, otherwise it's too bright, you can't see it. There's another saying, can't see the forest for the trees. You're in the forest and you're saying, there's no forest here, there's a bunch of trees in the way, I can't see a forest. So let's back up. And what and those people I'm talking about are like mystics, psychics, astrologers, who are not paying attention to the politics of it. They're not saying, this is true because I want it to be true. Sorry for the noise here. They're just saying, hey, this is what I'm feeling. These are the premonitions I'm getting. And if you kind of back up and feel that with them, you can say, oh, yeah, what they predicted a month ago, geez, that is happening. For instance, like I was saying in the last video, stuff I heard about 10 years ago and have kept hearing about from mystic psychics channels, that, hey, you need to get prepared. You need to have food, water, sureties. You're going to start having brownouts, which is like rolling blackouts. There's going to be a lot of sabotage, and you're going to have food supply shortages. The system is going to absolutely, completely collapse because it's all based on derivative trading, gambling, leveraged trades in the stock market. Germany's economy is almost entirely just so highly leveraged through derivative trading, which means taking a piece and amplifying that times 1,000. You have $1 and you say, all right, I have $1. Now I want to bet $100,000 on, that horse over there. And here's my $1 to back it. That's how it is. It's like, well, if you lose, you owe 100,000. If you win $1 million, right? But you only have $1 back in that 100,000, so you better win, right? So that's how it's been, and now the bets are getting called in. So anyway, when I hear all that, and then, oh, we got tariffs, what have we got? Food shortage, the system's collapsing. Whichever way you want to slice it, who cares about why it's happening? So let's remove ourselves from the politics and the derision, the vitriol, the sectarian nonsense of this is my clan, this is who I'm sticking with. And listen, the hat, it's halfway a joke. I mean, absolutely, let's make America great again. In the same way that Black Lives Matter. They do. Okay? If you want to call that a political statement, you can do that. If you want to say that all lives matter is a political statement, you can do that. Make America great again. Let's do it. And if Trump ain't the guy, let's kick him out. We still want to make America great again. So don't think that this is me. I'm not coming at you as a diehard Trump supporter. I'm a diehard Trump supporter as long as he's reading our script. And the moment he's not, he's out. So that's how it is, and that's how it's going to be. Basically, this time in history, it is unprecedented, unprecedented, unprecedented. We have never had this rapid pace of change. And they say that it began in 1987 through 2012. The Pleiadians call it the Nano. That's what they refer to. A certain group of Pleiadians, channeled by Barbara Marciniak, if you want to go look that up. They refer to that period as the Nano, meaning that it flew by in the speed of a nanosecond. And they say that it was a period of great acceleration. And if you step back and look at it, what happened between 1965 and 1975? Not much. What happened between 1975 and 1985? What happened between 1985 and 1995? Boom. What happened between 95 and 2005? Oh my gosh. 2005 to 2015. Whew. So you get what I'm saying? Like, that was a period of rapid acceleration of energy, as they say, and it can be reflected in the real world by the nano computers, right? The microchips, the microprocessors, the speed of everything, the speed of light, fiber optics, communications, everything picked up to a pace that was it was just almost, it was breathless. You couldn't even keep up. And for people who were born in like the 60s and stuff, that's all very, very exciting, and a lot of them loved it. Like, for instance, my dad, he's all about what's next in tech, and it's so exciting to him, and self-driving cars. Meanwhile, people who were born into that, like myself, I was born in 95, they're used to it, and they're in fact clamoring for things to slow back down, and they are slowing back down. Ever since 2012, that was the end of the nano, and now things are slowing back down. But it's like a racing train putting the brakes on. It's going to take a while, and we're still, but look at how things have slowed down, and COVID was a big break. It was a big, like, pulling the emergency brake, slowing the economy down. Now we've got the tariffs, everything's slowing back down. So, I could talk it all to death, but what I wanted to get at is continuing off of the last video. Who is Trump? Well, Donald Trump was always sort of another billionaire in the club. It's Rothschild money. YouTube's gonna strike it down. YouTube, I didn't say that. But there's the R&Rs, the Rothschilds, and the Rockefellers, two big names. And I'm not gonna be ultra reductionist like everyone wants to be. I'm not gonna pretend like that's all to the story and that's it. But I will say that he is of Rothschild money, Rothschild fame. And if you trace his, what I understand, what I hear, is if you trace who bailed him out over and over, it was Rothschild money. So all these people who say, oh, he's such a successful businessman, and he made all his own money. He inherited $500 million from his dad, managed to lose it like 3 times or whatever, and it was bailed out. So just remember that when you're beating yourself up and going, why can't I be like Elon Musk? Look, all these people are members of a crew. You'll never be there unless you are in the club. So rejoice, be happy with your station, and be happy with having plenty, and realize that less is plenty. And private jets and all that stuff, it won't make you happy. I mean, it is true, more money, more problems to a certain degree, in terms of after you've got a certain amount, more just means more people are after it, more people want to kill you, more people want this and that. So anyway, who is Trump? Well, see, we're battling against a secretive, evil hand. It's a long story, and it dates back millions of years, actually. And we could go super deep into conspiracy town, and unfortunately, that is where it leads. And I don't want to drown you in like rabbit hole conspiracy theories. I'm not interested in that either. But the thing is, the actual truth and the actual nonsense, they sound similar. There's a fine line between being awake and aware and going crazy. So the actual truth is that the planet is under the control of a very evil, dark forces that feed off of negative energy and all that. So we'll kind of leave it at that. But those who control the Vatican, those who control DC and London, it's all a big control network. Notice how those 3 cities I just named are all independent city-states answering to nobody, except for whoever they answer to, which is all secret. So, for a long time, there's been a group that wants to undo this. And there's been, groups throughout time out of mind, but specifically the group I'm talking about, who I call the White Hats, or at least the U.S. White Hat military, they have been conducting a coup since the 1950s, and Their guy who they put in was JFK. Look what happened to him. And their plans have been thwarted many, many times. But they are the ones who approached Donald Trump to run for president. Now, why did they approach Donald Trump? See, the good guys, we don't have any money. So we needed a guy who could fund their own campaign, which narrowed and slimmed our options, right? So it's kind of like lesser of the evils, had to get some billionaire. And you know how many billionaires do we have? He was approached. I understand that he declined at first, and then 2 weeks later, I don't know if it was convincing or he thought about it, but he was approached to run in 2016 or 2015 for the 2016 election, and he is the figurehead for the MAGA movement, for the white hats who want to take back control from the evil hand, right? So that's where we are, and he's not a perfect person. Like I said, he has his secrets. Secrets that are Jeff Ep, P. Did style secrets that have been covered up by the white hats in exchange for his cooperation. I don't think they were going to find anybody. You don't get to be a billionaire unless you have blackmail on you. That's how it goes. Or multi-billionaire. You don't get to be a big player like that, politically or anything like that, typically, unless they have something on you. And that's how they do it. They used to be affairs. They used to get you with a honey trap, a pretty girl. But as the culture changed and affairs weren't considered big and bad enough, they're no longer scandalous enough to get you fired out of your job, so it wasn't strong enough blackmail, then they switched to using the children and entrapping you with doing things to kids. Terrible. And there's this whole network of trafficking, and that's what the whole mass deportation thing is. It's actually, and I'm sure this video is already going to get striked or whatever, but that whole thing is actually a front to bring in the military in order to stop the trafficking of little ones, and that whole system. It's there for blackmail, and also Conspiracy Town. They feed off of the who's they? Well, the way high ups that you never hear about who actually live underground cities and stuff. A lot of the kids, how come you never see the kids? It's only the men. They bring them in to be the voter base for the D's, and then the women and children get taken underground, as to be used as slaves and actually food, believe it or not. I know I'm just hitting you with a bunch of crazy shit, but if you've heard about it, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you're going to have to either go with it or whatever, because I can't really talk about all that on, here. And so, let's see, where was I going with that? So, that's that. Yeah, they're using that as a way to bring the military in and shut that whole thing down, as well as the drug running. The problem is so bad. I live in Rocky Mount, where crack heads everywhere. That's what they live on. That's their food. It's just insane. And I know for a fact that if you can't get it, you can't get it. So we've got to shut down that flow. They just have to. So, people say, people like my dad say, oh, no, it's, we should legalize it all. Because, the argument is honestly so, I understood the argument at one point and I thought it was right. And now the argument seems so insane that I can't even, think of it. We'll legalize all drugs so that, I don't even know. I don't even understand that argument now, but so that, they can, so that it's not a crime and, you don't have gang warfare and stuff. Okay, fine, then we'll have everybody just zonked all the time, and that's not what you want. Um, so, what else? There's no real structure to this video. I don't have any notes, so I'm like, I don't even know what I'm saying, but I don't know what I'm going to say next. But so that's and I guess really for the purpose of these first few videos is to make you understand that the whole MAGA movement, it has nothing to do with racism and homophobia, or any of that crap. That's just a line that's been sold, and anything that gets to you through your TV is highly controlled media. And all these people they're not reporters, they are propagandists. And the term marketing used to be openly called propaganda. It used to be the propaganda department, da-da-da. Then they said, well, propaganda is too strong of a term, we're going to call it marketing. And just, be awake, be aware, know that it's all propaganda, and talk to a Trump supporter. And I realize that a lot of them are Southern people who, they're not the most eloquently well-spoken, but we don't have like a big problem with racism in the South. And realize there's a difference between racism and wanting to be surrounded by your own kind. That's not racism. Europe wants to be European. Africa wants to be African. Japan wants to be Japanese. America has always been a nation of black and white. We don't want that to change, but at the same time, we're not open to having just everyone flood in. Muslims, everybody. You can't have that. It destroys the cultures. And the cultures and the traditions, they're so important for real reasons that you may not realize because you live your lifetime and you don't see the whole grand picture of it all. But as the generations go by, it will degrade all the cultures and all the traditions, and the traditions are what protect the people, like norms, societal norms. Things like it's not cool to go and sleep with everybody in the town. That will collapse the society, because now everybody's got disease and kids who are illegitimate and all this stuff. So I think I'll leave it at that for now, and we'll keep making these. I'll probably make one a day, and look forward to chatting with you guys more, because I make all these LinkedIn posts. Well, people tend to sound crazier through, well, I kind of do it on purpose. You realize I do that for like shock effect, because nobody has any attention span, which has always been my problem. Nobody has the attention span to sit there and listen. I mean, quite honestly, I don't mean to sound like elitist or like smarter than everybody, but even from when I was a kid, I couldn't get an idea out, a thought out, without people they couldn't focus long enough to even understand it, because not everything is able to be broken down to a sound bite that's very just easy. Oh, black lives matter. Yeah. Ooh, MAGA people are racist. It's not. Nothing is that simple. Nothing is that simple. And remember that nobody is just somebody. Okay? Nobody you see on TV, AOC, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, nobody is just somebody. They all have ties. They're all placed there, and none of this stuff is by accident. And nothing you hear on the media is just, you always have to ask yourself, why are they reporting on this and not that? There's always some way bigger story that they're not reporting on, but they want you to look at this. And a lot of times what they're talking about is code. The media is also used as a communication network amongst the elite, and they will literally have like a cheat sheet of, okay, if the news is about, I don't know, groundhogs being endangered, then that means this. But if the news is about, bunnies being endangered, then that means that this happened. And you know, like the word, I can't even say it. The word climate changerino is also a code word for something that you wouldn't believe if I even told you. So we'll leave it there, and cheers. Leave a like, subscribe. So freaking gay. All right, I'll see you guys later. Peace out.